seen the challenges, it probably is not too late to open the centers at the electoral areas, because it will be easier for people to travel. I mean, for instance, Ayawaso West Wagon is here. The farthest polling station in Ayawaso West Wagon is at Sator. And so there are people here from Sator who have had to travel all this way to come and register. They might not be able to register today. They might have to go back and come the following day. I mean, we know the conditions in Ghana today, the hardship. We know how transport fares have gone up. It's not easy on voters to be able to do that. Of course, political parties are trying to facilitate, you say we shouldn't bus them. And if somebody doesn't have money, he won't come and register because he doesn't have money for transport to come all the way. But if he were in his electoral area, it will be a shorter distance and he'll be able to go there and register. So I think we should still reconsider this issue about registering in the electoral areas. And but in the meantime, I think the EC should resolve the bottlenecks that we're seeing here. One, there's congestion. Two, the network is not going well. They registered, one of the constituencies, they registered 50 on the first day. Then I think the next day, 80. The highest they've registered in a day is 170. But if you look at these numbers, they will keep coming every day, and so we need to speed up the process. Well, I'll refer you to a famous case. This was the Do4 case during our primaries. The EC said it had come to its attention that an injunction had been filed against our primaries, and so because of that, they will not be available. They were very proactive. I don't know why they are not proactive in this case. Well, you'll be lucky if they come back. In some cases, they might not come back because they'll get frustrated with the process, and that will disenfranchise them. And that's why we're saying that it would have been easier if this exercise had been taken closer to where their their polling stations are, and that would have been easier for them. Because right now they have to give up their studies. If they are persistent enough, they'll come for a day or two or three and manage to get registered. But then they would have missed several hours of their education. So, like I said, we'll still ask the EC if they can to open other electoral areas so that it can bring the process closer to the people. Take my constituency, Bamboy. The farthest polling station is Babato. Babato is 140 kilometers from the district capital. And you say he should come and register, he should come with 2 guarantors. So he has to pay transport money for himself and transport money for 2 guarantors. If he goes that day and is not able to register, he has nowhere to sleep in Bole. Will he go back and come again? These are the practical difficulties that the EC is glossing over. They should ask Parliament for the budget. We are insisting that do the electoral areas. You've not asked Parliament for the appropriation. Say the money is not enough, so Parliament should ask the finance minister to give you more money. You haven't asked. And you just say, no, we'll restrict it to the district centers. I don't think that's enough of an excuse.
Today marks day 4 of the limited voter registration exercise here at the Electoral Commission's headquarters in Accra. Now, upon speaking to applicants, according to them, they are very dissatisfied with the process so far. They cited limited or inadequate infrastructure or equipment for the registration exercise to be a problem. And another problem they cited was the issue of queues not moving. According to them, now they are calling on the EC, or they are calling on government to provide more equipment to aid in the registration process and also watch for the processes of the queue to move forward.
I've been here for about 4 hours now, and to tell you the truth, the EC is doing contrary to what she even said she wants to do, that the party is against it.
We should have been in our district. But according to them, they said this is their office for the district. Instead of having the district in our constituency, they have their district office here. So they gazetted this place. That is why we are having the registration here. In fact, if you are saying you do it at the district level, you have to go to the district of the members. Like, it's worrying. To be honest with you,
I've been here. I'm still at the back. I haven't even moved an inch. There is no cheating. There is free and fairness here, but the line isn't moving at all.
If you claim there is free and fairness, then why is the queue not moving?
Oh, there is free and fair because I'm there. I haven't seen anybody doing maneuver rules or maneuvering.
If the people are too much and they are registering, at least somebody will finish for another to continue.
You see, it's rate. At least I came around 6. It's getting to 12. If I'm supposed to do mine, I should have been done by 11:30, getting to 12. But as at now, there are about 30 people ahead of me, and I'm praying they would finish before I do mine.
Reporting for Metro News, I am Zoe Anita Ode, EC's headquarters, Accra.
Few days into the limited voters registration exercise, challenges of constant breakdown of machines occasioned by pressure on kits have characterized the process as a result of the EC's refusal to further decentralize the exercise. Hence, the two major political parties, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party, with the financial capabilities.
The president, if you have
So we decided to play you back those tapes for you to get a sense of what some Ghanaians are going through in trying to put their names on the voters' roll so that they can vote next year in the elections. In fact, the district assembly elections in itself is coming up, and so some of them, those who intend to participate, can participate. Before I get on with our conversation today, or just in case you just joined us, I said we have important conversations to have. It's about what's happening with the ongoing limited voters register, and how Ghanaians are going through, or some Ghanaians are going through all kinds of frustrations, both in terms of logistics, in terms of resources, in terms of time, and so on and so forth, just to get their names on the voters register. And if persons or officials of the Electoral Commission are watching this program, we are still appealing to them to take a second look at this, because people are really going through tough times to put their names on to get their names on the voters roll. I think it's unacceptable. I've had persons call me and ask that I should give them money because they want to go and they want to travel long distances to go and write their names in the voters register, and it's a bit of a pressure, it's a lot of pressure on some of us, and so the Electoral Commission must do something about this. For me, the reasons that have been given by the Electoral Commission, it's untenable. It's unacceptable. I think it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you wonder if these officials have lived in some of these remote areas in order to appreciate what people have to go through, in order to trek from one point to the other, just because they want to exercise a fundamental right. This is not some kind of a privilege. It is a right guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. Article 41 is clearly stated there, black and white. Why would you want to put Ghanaians through this? I mean, it's a public institution paid by the taxpayers' money. So the very people who are paying you to work as Electoral Commission officials, you're punishing them. Something doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. And so the Electoral Commission must really reconsider this decision to restrict this registration offices to just its district offices. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, so we're looking at that as an issue, and I did indicate that a private citizen has actually initiated a legal action. That comes actually days after 4 political parties, including the biggest opposition party, the NDC, decided to take the matter to court in order to ask the court to stop the Electoral Commission in its tracks. Now, this private citizen is asking 2 things, among other things. They're saying that what the Electoral Commission is doing is against her fundamental human rights, a violation of a fundamental human rights and freedoms guaranteed under the Constitution. And even with that particular private citizen has had this suit that they filed at the court is facing some challenges because the Electoral Commission won't even avail itself to be served by the bailiffs. And so there's been some back and forth. The lawyers for these private citizens have been very frustrated by the process. And then, of course, the second issue we intend to look at is the back and forth. So the former president talked about how persons have been packed, or some individuals have been packed at the judiciary by the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who are perceived or aligned to the New Patriotic Party. And he says NDC lawyers must also warm up, they must get ready, so that when the NDC wins power, if the NDC wins power in 2024, they will also get an opportunity to go there as judges and, as he put it, balance things out. But the president, Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, thinks that what the president has said is dangerous and it's a brazen attack on the judiciary. Would ask if what is going to give, what is going to happen next because of what the president has said, and whether indeed you agree with the president that what the former president has said is unacceptable. So I'll be sharing the WhatsApp line with you. It's shortly going to come on your screen so that you can join the conversation. But before I proceed to even share with you the WhatsApp line, let me just quickly say that Auntie Margaret Nyamado, you live in Osu, fantastic woman. She's a lovely woman. She has a lovely daughter as well. She celebrated her birthday 2 days ago, her 55th birthday, and I'm told it was awesome. It was lovely. I want to use this occasion to wish you well and to wish you God's guidance and blessings, and to also wish you that God grant you your heart desires and whatever it is that you want for yourself and your children and all the generations that are going to come after you. So once again, hip, 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 hooray. Happy birthday, Auntie Margaret Nyamado. You are loved dearly. Let me now introduce my resource persons for today. So today I have a member of parliament. I always say he's one of the hardworking members of parliament in Ghana's parliament, in Ghana's legislative house. I'm talking about the member of parliament for the Tamale Central constituency, the Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. He's joined us. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Muru, and thank you.
It's a pleasure having you, sir.
My pleasure.
And to think that you're able to make time off your very, very busy, because this is a very busy season for you because of what's happening with the limited voters registration. It'll be very interesting to find out how you've been able to cope with the frustrations and the inconvenience and the resource pressure that has been brought on to you by virtue of this. And also, I'll be joined shortly by Mr. Kingsley Amwakwa-Buedu, who is a private legal practitioner, also a member of the NPP's communications team. Will also be joining us shortly. And also Michael Niabe, he's a governance analyst. He works at the Friedrich Ebert Foundation. He'll be joining us shortly. And then also via Zoom, we're speaking to Musa Dankwa of the Global Info Analytics. Now, he's been doing some very interesting analysis and trying to theorize why he thinks that the Electoral Commission is being adamant in opening up and setting up more registration centers for persons or for Ghanaians to go and register. And he's saying this to go and register. And he's saying this based on research, dating back as far back as in 2020, all the way down to 2023. He has very interesting analysis. And he'll be joining us. In fact, he's joined us via Zoom. Musa, I believe you're on. Musa, can you hear me? Okay. Musa, if you can hear me, I'm saying good morning. Okay. All right. I'm sure we'll work it. I will sort out the Zoom so that when Musa here this week, we can exchange some pleasantries. But anyway, so in the meantime, let me start with the Honorable
Moro,
Musa,
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Musa Dagwa, can you hear me? All right. So we'll work on the Zoom, we'll fix it, and then we'll come back to Musa. But Honorable, first of all, again, second, let me just say thanks for joining us. I mean, you're a member of parliament, and you have a huge responsibility to ensure that your constituents are able to get their names, especially first-time voters, 18 years and above. There are those, in fact, the last time this limited voters registration was done was in 2020. So 2021, there was no limited voters registration. 2022, it didn't happen, and now it's happening in 2023. So there's a huge backlog.
It was in 2019, I guess.
It was the last time they did it. So 2020, 2021, 2022, there wasn't any limited voters registration. I'm wondering how much pressure this has brought on you as a member of parliament.
Well, let me say good morning, and good morning to your cherished viewers, and of course, my colleagues who will be joining us soon, and most importantly, the good people of Tamale Central. If you ask us whether I'm going through some frustrations, I think it would be an understatement, and I'm not the only person. Almost every MP I have spoken with expressed same concerns. Yesterday, I went to Parliament. We had a meeting as a caucus, that is the Northern Region NDC caucus, on the matter of the voter registrations and what action we should take with regards to the registration so far. And I met a colleague MPP MP, and then we exchanged pleasantries, and I asked how she was faring as far as the registration is concerned. And she was extremely angry. And she isn't the only MPP MP I have spoken with. I've spoken with at least few MPP MPs who express same.
Okay.
But I asked why they are quiet. And they all tell me, if we speak out, you'll be in hot waters. So
if they speak out, they'll be in hot waters.
So the MPP is they're just like zombies. You know, fella song, zombie no go chop, unless Impapa asks them to chop. All the very day Jin Mensa held that very irresponsible press conference, stating that the registration was going to take place at only EC district offices. Joy FM specifically interviewed one of the parties, the minority parties who were present at the IPAC meeting.
Okay.
And the gentleman expressed shocked as to the actions taken or the decisions taken by the Electoral Commission to do what they wanted to do and what they are doing now. And his shock was that the Electoral Commission proposed that at the IPAC meeting, and they all opposed it and told the Electoral Commission that it was not going to be feasible and that Jim Mensah should not even attempt to do a thing like that. As a matter of fact, when they asked him whether the MPP supported the position taken by all the parties at the IPAC meeting, he said yes. So Joy called one of the MPP national executive officers. I'm not too sure whether it was the deputy secretary or one of the deputy secretaries.
Right.
And he confirmed on Joy that they all took the same position and that it was unanimous. All the political parties there asked the Electoral Commission not to attempt to do a thing like that, including the MPP. The question is, why the 360 degrees 10 that the MPP appear today to be unofficial spokespersons for the Electoral Commission, and they are defending a decision which they themselves and all the political parties kick against? It tells you how unprincipled the MPP is, and they can do anything for political power. Now, when after I interviewed, I told a friend that I never had any faith in the response given by the MPP person who was interviewed on Joy. And true to my, suspicion as to their insincerity and unprincipled nature, it has come to pass. And they are now defending the Electoral Commission for taking a decision which they also kicked against. Because everything Jim Mensah does is being remote controlled by Anochi, the NCA man.
That's a very wild allegation.
Everything Jim Mensah does.
Did you have any evidence to back this?
I'm saying that everything Jim Mensah does is controlled by that gentleman. And we know the shenanigans and the things they are doing. And in fact, Moro, I can tell you, there are some district electoral officers Baumia sends money to all the time. I can tell you that. And those district electoral officers, if they are watching this program, they should be very, very careful. They should be very, very careful.
No, how do you know?
Lantam, I won't. Sorry, I said Lantam. Moro, frankly speaking, I will not tell you my source.
But you trust your source?
Yes, I can tell you that what I can only say, those district electoral officers, be very careful. These 2024 elections we are going into, and I can tell you, Moro, there won't be any Supreme Court determination of any elections in 2024. We will not get there. So if anybody thinks that they can rig this election so that at the end of the day, they tell us to go to court and then we'll go to court and the Supreme Court will do their 7-1, stars. It won't happen. We will not have any we will not go to any Supreme Court. The elections are going to be determined at the polling stations, and the MPP, inshallah, will lose the elections. And President Mahama will be declared the winner, whether Jim Mensah or Dr. Bosman Asare or Silbo, they like it or not. We will not go to any court to determine the outcome of these 2024 elections. Let them be told in plain language. We will not get to that stage, because what the agenda is, let's use the district electoral officers. Let's use Jim Mensah and Nochi and Co. Let's rig these elections. At the end of the day, NDC comes to make noise. We say, let's go to court. And anybody can predict the outcome of what will happen at any court if you go on the matter of the election. So we are not going to go to any court. There won't be any court that the NDC will be going. And you remember, our national chairman indicated that we will not have any Supreme Court to go to determine the outcome of this election. Look, Moro, the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, specifically Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution, says, among others, that everybody has the right to vote and that everybody is entitled to be registered for the purposes of participating in any elections or referenda. The only institution clothed with the capacity to ensure that this constitutional obligation or constitutional right is realized is the Electoral Commission. The same constitution gives the Electoral Commission the exclusive right to ensure that the right for Ghanaians to vote and the entitlement to be registered is done by the Electoral Commission. So that is one point. Again, the Electoral Commission also came to Parliament for us to make a law in the form of a CI for them. So you can describe the CI 91 and 25 as amended as the law of the Electoral Commission. What have these two legal positions say as far as the registration of people who have reached the age of 18 years and above with sound mind? Now, if the Electoral Commission is refusing to honor this constitutional obligation and at least refusing to honor the same law that they came to Parliament to make for them in the form of a CI 91 and CI 25 as amended, if the Electoral Commission is deliberately refusing to do so, the NDC would have to get prepared for the 2024 elections. And I can tell you, we are fully prepared for them. Why? This same Jean Mensah and my good friend, Comrade Okujeto, did an excellent job when he provided the position of Jean Mensah when she was the director of the IE. Look, Moro, Jean Mensah has always been an activist of MPP. There is no question at all about it. The other day, I said she was an activist, and you had my good friend, Dr. Bosman Asari, called onto the program and said that she wasn't an activist of the NPP. So what it means is that Dr. Bosman Asari knew that it was immoral and unethical for you to appoint an activist or an activist of a political party to head an institution such as the Electoral Commission. Yet he, Dr. Bosman Asari, who had been a member of TESCON, or he was my 2-year senior in Legon, who had been a patron of TESCON, and who was appointed Deputy Electoral Commissioner. So by that same logic, it means that he is unfit to be there. So you have appointed activists of NPP as Electoral Commissioners. You remember when the woman was appointed, and I said she was a family relation to Rebecca. Kweku Baku sat on your station and lied. Kweku Baku sat on Good Morning Ghana and said that what I was saying was not true. In fact, he didn't stop there. He went to Newsfile and said it wasn't true.
But have you found any contrary evidence?
Of course, even in court. Kweku Baku sat on Good Morning Ghana and Newsfile and said that Mutela was lying. Jean Mensah had no family ties with Rebecca Akufo-Addo. It was proven in court that Jean Mensah and Rebecca were family members. Because Kweku Baku lied, everybody took that to be true. I think that he still needs an apology. He needs to apologize to me for doing that on your program on Good Morning Ghana, on Newsfile. So this woman, who is an activist of MPP, was appointed to do the bidding of MPP. You have another person, my former lecturer and head of department, Dr. Bosman Asari, who in no doubt whatsoever appointed to do the NPP bidding for the purposes of elections in this country. So today, and I listened to the Deputy Secretary of NPP, my brother Haruna, I think yesterday or the day before, and he said that they have also sent a complaint to the Electoral Commission to do something about this registration. You know why? They thought that it was going to favor them. Now, I have seen MPP MPs representing rural constituencies who have complained. The same Bosman Asari came on TV and said that by their analysis, over 80% of the polling stations that the registration centers, people would not have to move distances to come and register. And I asked myself, God, forgive this gentleman. Over 80%, when we all know, we have more rural constituencies than even urban or city constituencies in Ghana. Assuming without admitting that all the constituencies in Ghana are based in the cities and in the towns. At Denta, for example, Medina Bukobi, someone lives at the extreme end. That person would have to transport himself to be able to register. Like His Excellency President Mahama said, when he gave the example of someone who needs to move about 140 kilometers to be able to register in this exercise, and he needs to come with 2 guarantors. That person would have to take care of the transportation, perhaps the feeding of the guarantors he is bringing for the purposes of he being registered as enjoined by the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, which Jin Mensa, Dr. Bosman Asari, and the entirety of the Electoral Commission are disregarding. Such a person would have to pay for them. Ask anybody. My good friend, thank God he has joined, and I know he has the intention of contesting as yes, he wants to contest. Yeah, if you ask him sincerely, he will tell you he would have spent already money to move people to go and register. Look, in Tamale, it's ridiculous. Tamale Central and Tamale South are all operating under Tamale Metropolitan Assembly.
Right.
You provide 2 machines for these 2 huge constituencies. And then you provide
2 machines.
2, yes. So it means that each of the constituencies are provided with 1 machine. Then you go to other constituencies where the numbers are fewer as compared to the numbers we have in Tamale Central and Tamale South. You provide 1 machine, the same 1 machines. The very first day, 1 person registered in Tamale Central. The next day, 35 people registered. The next day, 83 people registered.
How many people are you looking at?
Thousands. If you go to the Metropolitan Electoral Office, you see people, almost thousands who are there. And every day the numbers is so chaotic. Why would this woman do this? Why would she do this? So you see, I was of the view that the NDC needed to go back to IPAC. It is very clear that the NDC is vindicated. It is very clear.
How so? Tell me.
Why? IPAC took a decision, and this time round, including the masters of Jin Mensa, NPP, they also agreed with the other political parties on the matter of the Electoral Commission not conducting or having this exercise done at only electoral district offices. Yet the Electoral Commission disregarded that. Then what is the use of IPAC? What is the use of IPAC? And the woman operates as if she's a law to herself. The Constitution of the Republic of Ghana and the laws are conscious on arbitrary use of the powers given to you by the same Constitution. Now, every time they want to operate, the law enjoins the Electoral Commission to do so. It is not for nothing that the IPAC was institutionalized. It may not be legal as a legal instrument, but it was institutionalized to ensure that you don't abuse power as the Electoral Commissioner is abusing power today. So look, there's no denying the fact that the woman is there doing the bidding of the MPP. Look, I have always said, Moru, I always take solace in Surah Al-Imran. They plan and Allah plan, but Allah is the master of all plans. There is no way they can repeat what they did in 2020 elections in this 2024. It won't happen. It won't happen. Look, there's a popular saying in the Gbani that it is only one woman who give birth to a very troublesome child. Several women can do that because they had the way to do the kinds of things they did. Why will this woman do the things they are doing today? Assuming it was just the NDC and other political parties' position, one would have said once again, she is doing what the MPP asks her to do. But because the MPP has no principles, because they have no principles, shamelessly, that they can agree with something, come out and whip online, whether the Flagstaff House, Yande, whip them online, that they had to turn 360 degrees. Why would you all kick against something? The Electoral Commissioner is doing that and you can't say anything. It is also important for us to go into the position taken by Jin Mensa as the IEA, the Executive Director. She has gone against every single position she took. Okay. Why would someone be denied the opportunity to register as enjoined in Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution because of financial constraints? Why would someone? Now, Dr. Bosman Asari says that there can't be any financial constraints. People would have to move distances. Do they expect those people to fly? Or they have witchery and wizard that they will be using to be transporting people from one place to another? People don't even have food to eat. Now I listen to journalists who have interviewed people, prospective registrants, and their view is that, look, because of the Ghana card, people are no longer desperate to want to have the voter's ID card. And because of that, you don't see that enthusiasm. Now, if this registration were to be done at the various polling stations, as we have had in the past, there wouldn't have been any problem. I have also listened to an argument that is made. This is not the first time the Electoral Commission is conducting this registration exercise at the district electoral offices for the purposes of district assembly elections. All the years, in fact, 2016, we had over 6,000 polling stations. Even at that time, Jean Mensa saw the need to issue a long statement and granting interview from one radio media house to another, condemning the decision and asking that they needed to expand. How many do you have today?
So your question is, what has changed?
This woman has messed up the entire process. If we had over 6,000 voting centers, and you were even asking that they should extend it by 2 weeks, is our democracy evolving or we are retrogressing? How many do you have today? And I want you to ask him to tell you sincerely. I know he sometimes appears to be a crefe. Let him demonstrate that today. That he should put aside the point and tell you sincerely, hasn't he spent money already? Because I know he wants to contest. Hasn't he spent money already transporting people to go there? The frustrating aspect of it is that the little resources you have, because I don't have millions of dollars stuck in my house like their ministers and appointees have. I haven't started building houses when in 2016 I could not even rent a room like some of their appointees are doing today. Now, even when you transport people from their places of abode to the registration center, and because of the malfunctioning of the gadgets, they are not able to register. They have to go home tomorrow. You need to spend the same amount of money to send them. I listened to Dr. Sirbo, and he said, the reason is that the machines have not been used for 3 years. And that is the reason why you have this challenge. How reckless and irresponsible. So the machines haven't been used for 3 years. And you know that because they haven't been used for 3 years, you want to use those machines. You didn't see the need to test them.
Right.
You just deployed them. Why is it that we don't experience this in other places? So I am saying that this woman, Jean Mensa, Dr. Bosman Asare, and all those who are at the EC office, look, if there is any problem in this country, in 2024, Jean Mensa, Dr. Bosman Asare Sirbo, and Nanado and Baumia will be held absolutely responsible. And let they be reminded that what happened in 2020 wouldn't happen in 2024. It won't. Because the kinds of things they did, and they are repeating same. Coming events, they say, cast their shadows. Why? People are asking that allow the rule of law to take place. Allow, respect the constitutional obligation and the very law you yourself have done. Now, people are being disenfranchised. Go to every registration center. It's very chaotic. And now one would say that the machines may have problems because of certain rural areas. Even in the cities, they have problems. So I think that Jean Mensa, we are telling her, everybody is calling her, maybe perhaps because MPP has now officially complained, I can bet my last penny. The only penny I have in my room. Jean Mensa
but even with that, even with that, I'm not too sure about really what the position of the MPP is, because I've also heard Evans DeMarco, who is the director of elections for the MPP, say something entirely different from what Haruna has said, we're a deputy general secretary. So that's some...
It's very clear the center can no longer hold.
But I'll come back to you on that. Let me also say that I've been joined by Kingsley Amwakwa Boedu, who is a private legal practitioner, a member of the MPP's communications team, I'm an aspiring member of parliament for which of the Asins? Oh, okay. So you're not. Okay. Your microphone is off, I'm told. Please put it on. Yes.
Sorry. Don't be swayed by what you say. Don't be swayed by what you say.
Okay, that's fine. That's
now, my friend,
are you contesting
my
or you're
friend
not contesting?
Mutala, allow me to greet my people.
Right.
Of course.
Good morning.
You see, he's trying to gag me,
No, that's
but it
fine.
will not work.
No, it's called a friendly banter. It's a friendly banter.
I come from Asinfosu.
Right.
So my regards to the Asin Central people
I hear.
of Asinfosu.
Okay.
And all my people.
All right.
And Asin North. Yeah, well, Asin Central. That's where I come from.
No, but agree, as you are neighbors.
No, Musa, please allow him. So that because
No,
of time,
yeah,
I beg you.
you let him go on. You see that he started
Right.
with what he was saying, that MPP has not responded.
Right.
Now he ended with MPP has responded. You see, Mutala, you see.
Don't worry. Listen,
you see-
I'm greeting you. I'll come back to you. I'll come to you for a formal.
but you allowed him to talk.
No. I'll come to you. No, you have all the time. You don't have a problem at all. I'm just saying hello And good to have you. Good to have you here.
Very well.
Don't worry, I'll count on you. And let me also say a very good morning to Michael Niabe, who is a governance analyst.
I'm glad you laugh like this. You see, when he starts talking, it's as if he's resurrecting some cadence hidden somewhere to go into action. The force of his voice alone and the seriousness of his face. Please relax.
I beg you.
This is one Ghana we have.
Right.
Okay? Relax.
Hold on a second. Relax. Michael, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
How are you, Michael? Right. And Michael will have his bite on this matter as well. But let me also say, Musa Dankwa now, I believe I should be able to hear Musa Dankwa now. Musa, good morning. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, Muro. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please switch your mic on so that we can hear you. Oh.
My mic is on. It's from your side.
Right. I can hear you now. Musa has been on for almost, since the beginning of the show. Let me quickly go to him, Musa, and speak to you about an issue before I come to Kingsley for his reaction to some of the things that, first of all, his take on the ongoing limited voter registration exercise, and also his take or response to some of the things that the Honorable Murtala Mohammed has said. Now, let me also state that Murtala Mohammed would have to leave us in the next 10-15 minutes. He has to attend to some other engagement elsewhere. And then in his place, the Honorable Member of Parliament for, I think, South Dai, George Lowe, would replace him. A former member of parliament for South Dai will be here to replace him, and so that's the thing. He's sought after. Lots of other media houses want him, so they can have a bit of him when he leaves us the next 10-15 minutes. But Musa, here's the thing. This is what you've written on your page. It's about, let me say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. I'm not sure that I want to take my viewers through all of that, but you are propounding a very interesting theory to explain why perhaps what is happening where the Electoral Commission has been very adamant to open up more registration centers to make it easier for people to access the whole exercise. What are you saying? Hello, Musa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, I'm saying that.
But you were breaking up a bit.
Oh, okay. So I'm just saying that I've seen a very interesting theory that you're propounding to explain away, not to explain, but to explain why perhaps there appears to be a deliberate attempt to make it difficult for people to come, especially for first-time voters, to come on the voters' roll. What is it that you're saying? What are you saying? Walk us through this theory and your analysis.
All right, thank you very much, Moro, for having me. We've been working with data for the past 4 years, from 2019 till now. And we've been doing some polling of first-time voters and the role they were playing or they will play or have played in deciding who becomes the president. If you look at 2020, the data we showed, showed that there were about 21% of the all voters were first-time voters. That was in July. By December, when we did the last poll, November, the number has declined slightly to 20%. So 20% of voters in 2020 were first-time voters, and very critical. And these were the voters who were really enjoyed the free education, who could make a difference to the government's flagship program. Now, if you watch in 2020, EC sent polling stations to secondary schools to ensure that first-time voters and students in particular got registered. I believe because they believe they had the numbers in the first-time voters, who were mostly students. So it was made easier for them to register in 2020, and they got them registered. Now, as we speak, first-time voters are about 13% of all voters in the country today. Now, the polling we have done, given the trend of first-time voters over the years and who they support, in July 2020, 36% of first-time voters were self-identified MPPs, 24% were NDC, and 29% were floating voters. 3% were other parties, and 8% did not disclose. In 2020, December, the first-time voters who said they were MPP has declined to 32%. NDC had declined to 18%. But those who said they were floating voters had gone up to 33%. And those who did not disclose, 13%. Currently, as we speak, first-time voters who said they were MPP are only 23%. NDC are 24%. Floating voters, 30%. And not disclosed, 30%. So we can see a consistent decline in first-time voters from July 2020 till now. So what is happening now is that probably people are working with the numbers and they've seen that the people who claim themselves or who call themselves first-time voters and are MPP are declining. So if you open that number up, you are rather going to bolster people who said they are maybe floating voters or the other parties, and that may not near to their advantage. I think this is one of the reasons why we are seeing what is happening. Now, in 2020, the July poll, Nana Addo was leading Bahama 49% to 29%. I mean to 37% among first-time voters. So Nana Addo had a clear advantage in 2020. So it was in the interest of the party then to ensure that all first-time voters, or what they can do to get registered, because that number will translate into electoral successes. What do we see now? First-time voters, only 29% support MPP right now, and 53% support NDC. So they've seen that these current first-time voters are anti-government. And I have been saying this for months, even before we got to this point, that we must open up and make it easy for first-time voters because they are difficult to get them to register to vote. And if you want them to not to be despaired in taking part in this democracy, we must make life easy for them to register. But I don't know why, and I can't see why we are making it so hard for them to register when we know we have to encourage them to participate. The only reason I can say is that because the government knows they are behind in the polls when it comes to first-time voters by a huge margin.
But Musa, how are you able to tell, for instance, if your theory is anything to go by, how is the Electoral Commission, for instance, able to tell that if you have 10 first-time voters, Kwame, Kwejo, or Kwame would vote for this party, AC would vote for that party, and so if I don't want AC to vote for this party, I'll make it difficult for AC to vote. And if I believe that Michael would vote for that party, the party that the Electoral Commission, assuming it has its biases and it has its preference, how is the Electoral Commission able to tell who votes for who? That's the point I'm making. In order that it's able to target those who would vote for the NDC and make sure that they don't come on the voters' roll. How are they able to tell? That's if your theory is anything to go by.
Moro, this is not theory, this is data.
Okay.
We have seen, not in fact, this data is available to all Ghanaians. It's not only available to us. We've been publishing it, but perhaps people haven't taken care to look at it. But we are now putting meaning to it. If you put 100 voters who are first-timers, 29% will vote for MPP's candidate. 53% will vote for NDC's candidate. 7% said they will vote somebody else. And 11% said they will not vote. So it doesn't matter where you pick the sample from. If we believe that the sample is representative of the general voters, then it doesn't matter where you pick them from. So it is to limit the overall participation of first-time voters. Whether they are MPP or NDC, it doesn't matter.
I get it.
Once you are able to limit them, that number will not materialize in election year.
So your point is, the fewer first-time voters come on the voters' register, the better for the New Patriotic Party.
Yes.
Or the safer for the New Patriotic Party.
Whatever you call it, safer, better, because now they are losing by a huge margin, or they are behind by a huge margin among first-time voters. And if you see the queue that we are seeing, these are not students, people who are going to queue and just register and not vote.
You also go ahead to say, and that's my final question to you, the huge drop in the voter numbers in the Volta region after the exercise was not as a result of preventing foreigners from registering, but rather failure of Voltarians around the country to travel back to the region to register, as they usually do. This situation was what dealt a huge blow to the MPP parliamentary seats in the Greater Accra region during the 2020 elections. Look at the voters registered in the Greater Accra between 2019 and 2020 and see what the numbers were and the margin of MPP losses in the region. Again, some constituencies which were seen as no-go area for the NDC suddenly look vulnerable. Ayawaso West Wuogon, Dome Kwabenya in particular. The number of voters in the Taifa area declined significantly, while those in Abokobi, Ablaje, and the rural parts of the constituency went up significantly. Why? Settlers in a growing constituency in Greater Accra are largely driven by artisans. The demographics of Greater Accra has been altered permanently by the pandemic, and it will require more than gerrymandering, using voters' registration, either limited or mass, in few years to change, to change that. Again, to alter the situation in the region will require NDC or MPP to move people en masse from their strongholds to change the situation. There is no sufficient margins from constituencies they each hold in the region to move the numbers to achieve the desired outcome. If they each try to move people from where they believe to have the numbers, they could be exposing the MPPs to real danger. That may result in losing 2 seats instead of just 1. What do you mean? What are you saying?
No, this is a very complex thing you put in one paragraph.
Right.
Basically, gerrymandering is moving people from one constituency to the other of the region, give your support, win seats. In the pandemic, this was done for the NDC naturally, because I don't know what they were doing those days. They were busing people from Accra back to VOTER'S to go and register, when you already have a huge margins in your parliamentary seat. So when COVID came, lockdowns, restriction of movement of people, the Votarians couldn't go back to voter region. So they stayed wherever they were. And wherever they stayed in large numbers, MPP lost. So those numbers are quite high. And with regard to Domi Kwabinya and other areas, you see, if you take Domi Kwabinya, Amasama, there are some constituencies that are still seeing development in terms of houses. Some of them first occupied by the artisans, the masons, the carpenters, and so on and so forth, who are normally from Ghouta region. So they come to alter the dynamics of the constituency over time, and the real owners come back. So when this transition is happening, then it's going to expose this constituency into huge risk. And that happened in Domi Kwabinya. And that was what made the risk very close last time. And we expect that to continue in 2024. And also moving people from your stronghold, sometimes from areas of Accra stronghold into another weak point to snatch a seat, could expose MPs. For example, let me give you an example. Trobu is an area MPP could afford to move people, because they had a huge margin there. They could move people from Trobu to Amasaman to Bosa Amasaman. But right now, Trobu is not looking good. So if you move Trobu people to go to Amasaman, you may end up losing Trobu as well. So the numbers are not that straightforward. You must really have the numbers, both census, election, the register, and the polls to guide you. If you are using one or the other, you are just deceiving yourself.
All right. Musa, thank you so very much. And I want to thank you for your time. It's been wonderful talking to you. Very, very insightful analysis that you have made on the show today. Have a good day, sir.
You too, sir.
Musa Nankwa is the Chief Executive Officer of Global Info Analytics, giving us some very interesting analysis of what he makes of the data he's been collecting since 2020 to date, and how that explains perhaps the unwillingness of the Electoral Commission to open up for more persons who have turned 18 to register. And he's come to one firm conclusion that he thinks it's quite deliberate, and there's a reason why. Now, let me do this. Let me come to Kingsley Amwekwabuedu to tell us what he makes of all of that, what Mutala has said. Mutala's submission is simple. He says it's voter suppression. He says the MPP are up to some funny games to the Electoral Commission. In fact, NDC has been consistent with that. And he says he knows, for instance, that some district EC officers are being given monies from the Vice President's office. I asked him whether he had evidence. He said he's not going to disclose a source, clearly saying that there's something amiss, something is happening. Kingsley, I don't know what you have to say about what is this. And he says the MPP doesn't even have a common position as to whether this thing must open up. They must be open up to more persons to come on board, or you are very happy with the restrictive nature of it. Because, for instance, I've heard Evans Nimako, the Director of Elections of the New Patriotic Party, saying that the restrictions is good for the MPP because they are not spending. If it were opened to, say, electoral areas, what he means is that they would have to find agents everywhere and spend a lot of money and all of that. But he's very happy that it's been done at district offices. I don't know what you also have by way of information, what the MPP's position. Are you happy with this, or you're fine with this?
Oh, thank you very much. And good morning to my brother.
Oh, please, your microphone. Your microphone, yes.
Thank you very much, and good morning to my brother. My brother has made very serious allegations, and even before we get to allegation, you've watched films where a message is given to resurrect sleeping armies and sleeping agents.
Right.
The moment my brother speaks,
like in a war movie.
Yeah, it's a war movie, or some sleeping agents in another country, and they give signals for them to rise up.
Yeah.
The moment my brother speaks, he speaks as if that is what is going to happen.
a very passionate speaker.
I know there's speaking with passion, and also having a powerful voice. I equally have a powerful voice,
yes.
And I could also contort my faces and make it serious like my brother Mutala. But Mutala, this is Ghana. Everything we're doing is for Ghana. Relax. You can't do anything about your passion. That's how God created you. You can't do anything about your voice. It's a blessing. I also have that powerful voice. It's a blessing. But relax, because you're talking to the people of Ghana. That's not whatever happened in 2020 will not happen. What happened in 2020? What happened in 2020 is when Justice Appel asked you in court, how much did you get? You were found wanting. Years later, your party chairman, then the general secretary, said you could not collate results.
Did we go to court
but,
to say how much we got?
You took all of us to court.
We didn't go to court.
I remember I was going to court. There was this very important bill application I was going to make. And then when I got to GH1 going in, about 45 minutes before the case is called, I saw one or two NDC people wearing their T-shirts. I didn't even make any importance to it. As I go forward, now they blockade the way to the EC because the elections and this. By the time I got to court, my case had been called. The guy, unfortunate person, had been sent back to remand because NDC decided on all of this. You can imagine there's several losses people made because of this. In the end, you didn't even have the results. You are doing the same thing here. You see, Ghanaians, and I'm glad we're on this platform. Ghanaians are very discerning. Ghanaians are very, very discerning. Between your party and I, he gave the data and interpreted it. I will come to the authenticity of his data and the value we have to place on that. But Ghanaians are so discerning nowadays that we, the two of us from our respective political parties, must do more than just the gerrymandering and talking. No, there's a lot of work to be done between the two of us. They are saying that the two of us are failing them.
No, they haven't said.
That's what they are saying.
They haven't said.
They are saying the two of us are failing them. So the two of us when you go to your party. Listen, when you go to your party, do a better job than the gerrymandering.
Can we stick to the issue?
No, I'm coming back. I'm coming to the issue. I'm coming to the issue.
Yeah.
So you cannot say that the EC, and I'm very, very careful in drawing this caveat. I do not speak for the EC.
Okay.
I speak for my party.
Right.
And it's very unfortunate that we always create the scenario where the ruling party is in cahoot with the EC. It is not so. All right? The EC has its job to do, its mandate to do. We also have an election to win, and we are very confident that 2024 elections we will win because of the good work we do, not because of the polluting of the minds of the people that the EC is doing this and it is doing that. It doesn't wash. How? You asked a very important question. I was coming to that. How is it that the EC can determine that this person coming is a potential NDC candidate, and therefore let me disenfranchise this person and give a preference to this person? It's not possible.
Should I tell you how?
It's not possible.
Should I tell you
No,
how?
it's not possible. Now, I am very, very worried as a practicing lawyer and as a teacher of the law. If an individual's right, which is sacrosanct, constitutional right, is actually his fundamental human right, is cut short.
Was violated.
Because he can't vote. He must exercise his right to vote.
Welcome to the club.
All right? So, please. I said he should allow you to flow, but now you're going overboard. Please. Now,
no,
no, he's my brother. I don't mind him. He actually went into my fitness and all that. Allow me to flow, okay? When we go, we'll probably go and sit somewhere and talk a bit more. You see, but the issue is, the people must be allowed to register to vote. And that's my party's position.
Okay.
So anything that stops that, we are worried about. But we will not obviously join NDCs, their position is let's attack EC. Let's attack EC. And they won't even mention the chairman's name. Jim Mensah led the Electoral Commission is doing this and doing that. You see, we are saying that the people must register. These are first-time registrants. they must register. If, I mean, your president the former president did well in saying that the issue of enlarging the registration centers is one issue. The issue of the long queues and the delays at the center has to be addressed. The issue of the gadgets they are using needs to be addressed. And if they have to add more centers, then they can add it. And that's my personal position. My party's position is that, of course, if the registration at the EC offices is stopping people from registering, please, let's do the proper thing. We don't want to win an election for someone to think that we used,
You shot people to win the 2020. You gunned down people. 7 people lost their lives.
But the question
it is MPP who killed them.
You killed, of course.
No, sorry, before you go ahead, this is what a lot of people find curious, that in 2014, we had 6,000 centers for registration. At the time, the MPP was not happy. MPP complained bitterly.
Yes.
We had civil society organizations, including the IEA, which at the time, the executive director was the same Jean Mensah, who were granted interviews to Citi and Adom, and actually went ahead to say that, look, add more. In fact, in her case, even in addition to the 6,000 centers, she was asking for 2 more weeks window to be added so that more and more people can get their names on the voters register. I'm talking about first-time voters. And that's with 6,000 registration centers compared to now 268. Okay. Now, why has the MPP's posture in 2014, which was that open up more centers, give more time for people to come on board, that posture has changed from what we're seeing today, where now 268, and we're talking about district offices, and the MPP appears not to be that worried about it.
Our position is that we urge them to open centers.
Okay.
We will not join NDC in their mudslinging.
Oh, so you are for open up more centers?
Yes, because you see, we will not disenfranchise anyone from voting. How do you determine that the person going to register? And then, I mean, I am glad about the research.
Okay.
But I would actually want a copy so that we can interrogate it.
Okay.
And look at the results to see whether that's truly reflective of the entire people that are going to vote.
Okay.
We haven't. He's just said it. We don't even have a copy of that. All right. But how do you determine that even between after registration and 2024 7 December, the political wind blowing will be the same, and therefore nothing. He said that before, in 2020, it was 36% for MPP.
Right.
We came down to what? 32.
Yeah.
All right. NDC was 24, which also came down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you see, we are all political animals. Anything can happen that can weigh the political. Sorry.
We are political human beings.
Please go ahead. Don't allow Mustafa to, because he doesn't want you to talk, so he's distracting you. Please go ahead.
I know that. But I'm so ready for Mutala.
No, I beg you.
The first thing I'll be able to do is diffuse that firebrand nature, and then this country.
We don't have all day.
This country will never degenerate into what you are envisaging. It will never get there, because you and I will not shoot to you. You will not shoot me. We will not get. No, but you, if you are encouraging the people, then you have to be careful how you say things.
Kingsley, I beg you.
Right.
Let's come back and try. Otherwise, he's going to take all your time.
No, he's not taking my time. The most important thing I want to say here is that my party, we urge for the increment of the centers so that people can exercise their right to be registered as voters. But we will not ever join NDC in the attack at the EC. Now, you have not also been able to prove that the NCA boss is the one controlling the EC. How can you make such a comment? How? And then when he's pushing you that what's your soul, he said, I won't release my soul. It is these things should not be said on August platforms like this that we are sitting on. We are privileged to come here to sit on such platforms. So let's use this to build Ghana, not to break Ghana down. Please, my friend Mutala, please.
Okay. All right, that's Kingsley's take on it, because it's just 5 minutes, because I need to bring in Michael.
No, I just wanted to,
just a quick one, I beg you, because of time. Yes, please go ahead. Just a quick response.
Mine. How many seconds?
He's going to just 2-3 minutes, and then he'll be
Before
leaving
he
us.
says something,
He'll be leaving us. He'll be leaving us. So you have more time.
No. Don't say it. Run away then before I talk.
We have a second topic. So yes.
Quick one. The issues are
concluding remarks. Yes.
Nobody says that the MPP is against the registration.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to address the unprincipled position taken by the MPP. The MPP was at IPAC. By the way, NDC was not there. And all
Which I find very worrying. NDC must be there.
I'll come to that. And all the political parties at IPAC told the Electoral Commission that we will not allow you to do the registration at only district offices. And that any attempt to do that was going to disenfranchise many people.
Right.
The MPP saw the need to speak, to affirm this position on Joy FM by a national executive officer who was at IPAC meeting. And within 24 hours, you have turned 360 degrees supporting the Electoral Commission for taking a decision or a position you opposed. Do you have principles?
We have not taken a decision to support what the EC has said.
Right here
we have not done that. We are saying that we urge on the EC to open centers.
Exactly. So,
but we will not bastardize them like you are doing.
No, it is not. It's a smart way of trying to hoodwink Ghanaians into believing that they agree with us.
Okay.
I am saying that the NPP, as a political party, should have taken the same position taken by the other political parties after the Electoral Commission reneged on the decision taken by all the political parties at IPAC.
Okay.
So any failure to any attempt to try to deceive us in saying that we agree with you won't wash.
You see, we will not join you in going to court.
It's not about
we
court.
We will not take steps that links the EC.
You just told me that.
We are saying that EC, we urge you, open centers, because the individual, the poor individual needs to register. That's what we are saying.
I haven't mentioned court here.
Yeah, but these are some of the things. He's saying that, we are saying that we have turned 360 degrees.
He has mentioned court here.
We have not done that.
He has just 2 minutes to go, so please.
So now you are.
No, you are. He's leaving.
When I leave, the topic is different.
No, you leave. George Lowe will join us, so please go ahead. Because of time,
I haven't said anywhere, nobody mentioned court here.
Okay.
I'm just saying that you took a decision. The NDC was not even there.
Yes.
You spoke to it, confirming that yes, this was our position. The Electoral Commission has done otherwise.
Okay.
All the political parties are condemning the Electoral Commission, say, I won't condemn you. I won't take the position that you have taken. I am happy, a lawyer. You know, and that's why I asked Moro to ask you specifically, whether you don't have problem people complaining in your constituency, because your constituency is rural, that they have to move distances to go and register, and as to whether you haven't already spent money in ensuring that this thing is done. What Dr. Bosman Asari said on TV3, and I mentioned this because I want to be specific. He said that, look, what we have done, having the elections done at the district offices is not going to disenfranchise anybody. That is the only way by which we can have a lot of people, and said that the last elections which was done using the registration in 2019, using the guaranteed system, they have evidence that it was abuse. And I said, then that is an admission of failure. Only you is clothed with the capacity, the resources, the power to ensure that people register and the system is not abused. Okay. Now, if the system was abused, and you're admitting on national television the system was abused, wouldn't I have the right to expose your incompetency and the need for you to do things in the right way? And in any case,
so you see, Mutala is speaking about the EC, but he's pointing at me, he's pointing. That whole issue is what I am trying to disabuse people's mind.
You are defending the EC.
I am not defending the EC. Okay, I am saying EC, open, I am saying EC, open more centers. But do not lump sum the EC and the EPP or the government. Do not do that.
It's very clear that the MPP sees the EC, and I'm using this, that a human being who is carrying rotten carcass, a carcass.
That's your language.
Everybody is run away from that carcass. MPP itself
that is your language. That is your language.
Thank you so very much.
If you are looking at the right of the individual, let's stay there. Don't be imputing certain things into
me bring in Michael now.
You are glad you are going.
Michael,
you are very glad you are going.
Sorry, Michael will have his final bite on this, and then we'll move to the issues about matters about the judiciary. Michael, what do you make of this?
Yeah.
What your quick thoughts?
Thank you very much, Moro.
Thank you, Mutala. Mutala Mohammed has left us. in his place would have the Honorable George Lowe, who is a former member of Parliament for the North Dai constituency. Michael, please go ahead.
It's very instructive what Musa from the Global Info Analytics has said, and clearly having to do with some seeming deliberate attempt to basically suppress the eligible registrants, those who are to register as voters. I mean, quite striking. And of course, we know the NPP in terms of how the NPP organizes itself when the party, for instance, may be against any position of the Electoral Commission or any public agency whatsoever. Indeed, we've seen the NPP in the past where they vehemently opposed a number of decisions by the same Electoral Commission to the extent of going to court using other means, other vehicles to ensure that whatever they deem right ought to basically be the case. So for the NPP now to be very, docile and to say or suggest that we've urged the EC to do what is right is problematic for me. Indeed, if the NPP believes in same position like the NDC and the other political parties, one would equally expect the NPP to mount some pressure on the system. Imagine, for instance, the NPP goes to court on this very issue and how things may probably turn up.
Right.
Now, aside this, at the background, you have the President of the Republic made emphatic statement to the extent that he is only going to hand over power to an NPP president-elect.
Right.
Recently, also, you had the Attorney General using the Bar Conference platform to mention that the next President of the Republic may be an economist. I mean, projecting into the future, and the question is on what basis? Of course, Kingsley would say that on, as he said a few minutes ago, on what he claims to be the good works they have done. But of course, when you look at all that is happening.
Or some would say the NPP means business, that's all.
When you look at all that is happening,
yes.
It started with Ghana card only as the means for the voter registration.
Primary source of documents.
And many people had issues with it. We saw right there in Parliament that the majority actually supported the EC's position on the Ghana card only issue, which indeed would have ended or resulted in some form of voter suppression because the numbers are huge in respect of those who have their Ghana card readily available to undertake such an exercise. So right from onset, the NPP's demeanor, be it in Parliament or even by the executive, has been one that clearly would support any attempt to suppress eligible registrants. I mean, and so for me, and you see, when, for instance, Comrade Motala says, Kingsley, you may have spent some resources, people may have been calling on you to, that does not mean that there is some, we are all in this struggle together. I doubt, because between the two main political parties, in terms of war chest, the NPP can pretend to cry, but they still have what it takes to ensure that they either take care of the cost of travel for these eligible registrants. And so you are not on same pedestal. And for me, it is very, very worrying because, of course, there has been always this issue about the independence of the Electoral Commission, and for which in the performance of its function shouldn't be subject to the direction or control by any person or any authority.
True.
But of course, the EC can't say they are independent of common sense or what is fair or what is reasonable. And when these things happen, the Constitution clearly foresaw that you may have independent constitutional bodies like the Electoral Commission or other state agencies or political actors that may go beyond reasonableness, that may go beyond fairness. And for that matter, one expects the judiciary to set in anytime the judiciary is approached to ensure that these issues are properly dealt with and properly contextualized. But you see what is happening, for instance, with the judiciary as well. I mean, I'm told an injunction application was made, and it is the case that to basically stop the EC, because there is double standard here.
Right.
I mean, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama touched on it in the brief you showed the viewers. I mean, so for you to say you can only hear the injunction application after the exercise is over, after 2nd October, clearly means the judiciary itself may not attach any level of seriousness to this whole process. And this process is about ensuring that the right to vote is exercised. Before you are able to vote, you must be registered. Indeed, counsel lawyer is here. There have been cases where even, I'm told, a person did not have the opportunity to vote because he or she was outside of the jurisdiction or so. The person came down and went to court, and the court instructed that the EC ensure that the person is registered. So it means registering an eligible voter is something you can't use your bureaucratic processes or under the guise of independence to frustrate the eligible voter. And that is why what the Global Info Analytics is saying makes some sense, that there may be some deliberate attempt. Already we've already seen with the Ghana card exchanges on the floor of Parliament and how the NPP caucus in Parliament supported that cause then. The NDC fought it, and that changed. But it appears there seemed to be another strategy all of a sudden, which could still inure to voter suppression. And you see, when you do this, I mean, I, for instance, have been against, in the last election petition case, where the electoral commissioner mentioned that she, of course, had the right not to testify in court. And the bench, of course, granted same. And for me, it was a bit problematic because, you see, this is someone who has been clothed with a public duty, which goes with public accountability. I mean, she may have the right to waive the right to testify, but within the context of public duty and public accountability, and where that matter was of high public interest, the bench could have, of course, asked her to testify, because we are interested in how you manage your constitutional duty. So, from time past, a number of incidents, and it comes, we allow it to go. It comes, we allow it to go. And this is where we are today. Unfortunately, the judiciary isn't supporting. On your flyer, you asked, what next? Pressure ought to be mounted on the system. The voices of the people must be registered. The displeasure of the people must be registered. I mean, this is clearly absurd. I am unable to, given the terrible economic conditions we are faced with now, to even feed my family, and I have to travel long distance, some over 100-kilometer stretch, to register.
And if I have to go, if I have to go with some guarantors, then I have to take care of them.
Take care of them. And it's even the case that I may go today and may not be able to register due to some technical issue, some faulty equipment whatsoever.
So I have to return.
Go and come back again. And so why are we doing this to ourselves?
I think we'll leave it there. That's a rhetorical question, and I think would allow those who have have heard what you said, and somebody must answer that. No, let me just do this quick. I want us to have enough time for the judiciary.
How you rope the judiciary into this matter?
No, don't worry. We're coming there, because that's another topic.
Remember, it doesn't have.
So it gives you the opportunity to
but is that not an application in court? Because
remember the issue
related to this exercise.
Remember the issue.
The fact that
it
doesn't even come in.
Would you tell me what to say?
It's not what to say. Let me say my reaction to it.
Okay, so Boro, EC chair Jim Mesa, I beg you once again. EC Chair Jean Mensah could be competent at a private IEA, but not a sensitive public office as EC. As we speak, it would shock you the number of EC officials that have resigned under Jean Mensah. The latest to have resigned now is the Greater Accra EC Director. Please, you can check. The EC today is only a 3-month show, no longer a commission. Also, a lot of the happenings today marks of double standards and go to Jean Mensah's credibility. Jean Mensah, who in 2016 would ask for extra days of registration. At the time, there were 6,000 registration centers. Today, herself, she's departed from that, using less than 260 far-away EC offices. She must listen to the people and eschew the pro-elephant conduct. Koku Mawuli Nanegbe sends that message. Let me just do this quickly and then take a short break and then come back and look at comments about the judiciary and the politically lopsided, as former president has said, and also what the current president, the sitting president, Nana Addo, has said, which is reckless, is a brazen attack on the judiciary, and it is dangerous. Same as Sophia Akufo-Addo, she's also mentioned the same. No, in her case, she says what the president said is unfortunate and he shouldn't have said it. So we'll look at that. The EC is deliberately helping the ruling party and government implement the dubious agenda of breaking the eights. The truth is that this MPP and Akufo-Addo can only break the eights through fraud and manipulation, gerrymandering, and voter suppression. That's coming from Kojo and in Shaiman. Let me say that the WhatsApp line for those of you who want to send us messages is 0249 155 646. 155 646. So that's the WhatsApp line. 0249 155 646.